We're live. Welcome back, Jax. It's been 2 weeks since our last episode. Today we are putting a video game in the background again, primarily because in this instance we are not really. It's not too much of a fussy thing in this case, is it? Though.
Really?
Yeah, we're not in a. Okay, well, but today's game of choice in the background is a game called Tiny Glade. It's a fun little relaxing game. It'll never be on the showcase because it's not really there's not much to showcase on this series. We have got a couple of showcase episodes coming though, which we think you'll enjoy, or I hope they'll enjoy.
Oh, we always hope that.
But yeah, and first, should we talk about the big bugbear in the room? That's the title of this episode, to be fair.
Why not?
Let's talk about the thing that really has me excited at the minute, named Daredevil Born Again.
Coming out in a few weeks' time.
I know.
It's going to be incredibly interesting to see how they adapt what they've adapted from the Netflix series into the Disney series.
Yeah.
I assume there will be some elements of change.
Well, I'm just happy that one element that isn't changing is one that I think you can agree with me on, that why I'm happy it isn't changing.
What would that be? Wilson Fisk or Punisher?
It would be both. In the case of that one, it's Wilson Fisk and the Punisher is definitely a big thing that I'm glad they didn't get rid of. I mean, the fact that we're even getting Wilson Fisk at all is brilliant. We're getting Punisher back as brilliant, but the fact that we're still getting Wilson Fisk back is even better.
I mean, I'm completely with you, and it's quite an amazing achievement to make sure that they've got all the actors back. These are actors that people know and love as these characters. There's no real reason for Disney needing to get them all back, really, other than nostalgia for us. So yeah, no, it's very much appreciated in my opinion.
Oh yeah, it's mainly for me. It's opinion. It's the fact that they're basically acknowledging yes, the Netflix shows were part of the continuity for the MCU at this point. They're going, yep, these were continuity. Parts of them were. Some parts will be slightly different, but like example, I don't think Cottonmouth is going to be will be canon from Luke Cage's background if he ends up becoming canon still. If we get because who is the actor that played Cottonmouth going to eventually supposed to be playing?
Well, I mean, weird enough, things like this I think have a weird sort of thing to them. They are going to be existing. You're just not going to really mention it's the same actor. We can't have the same problems, you think, with Chris Evans and Captain America and Human Torch. So, yeah, I think it's just my thing. We're going to have to suspend our disbelief for a few seconds,
Oh, I know. We have to suspend a disbelief for it, but it's fine. As a comic book nerd, I can understand. I can completely suspend my disbelief with it.
Exactly. I mean, we've read comic books, so we know sometimes some artists use a very similar look for certain characters. Sometimes they change in style week to week, artist to artist. So, yeah, we just get used to it. It's the costume you worry about.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so it's from the trailer, it looks very interesting, especially the villains that we know that are going to be in it.
Oh yeah.
And how they are all going to interact with each other. And also what is going to be. I'm stuttering because I'm actually quite excited. There's a couple of telltale things within the trailer itself, which seems to sort of indicate that at some point something really bad happened, and Matt Murdock gave up being Daredevil.
Yeah, that bit has intrigued me as well.
And it seems like Fisk is mocking him for it. Uh, so what's happened? That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
What caused it? And there's a great theory going around with the thing where Matt is going over all his different helmets, um, and it's actually not they're not going to be his helmets, so they could actually be Bullseye's helmets, where he's trying to pretend to be Daredevil and discredit him, and that's Murdoch coming across him for the first time.
But yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing to learn and to see this one, because it's, in all honesty, it's just going to be one of those shows that's like, I am really excited for this, because we finally get to see Daredevil back on the screen again, and we're getting not just Daredevil back, it looks like Foggy's back, Karen's back, Vincent D'Onofrio's back.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. So here's the thing. Here's the bit that gets me. One of the shots of Daredevil's helmet dropping.
Mm-hmm.
It precedes something happening outside the bar they all used to hang out in. I'm wondering if the big tragic event is Foggy and all that dying and being killed outside that bar.
Could be. We don't know yet. We'll have to see.
You've seen very little of them actually in the trailer. You know that they would have spent some money getting them back.
Oh, no.
So, yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing to see of how is this going to work.
Oh, 100%. I can't wait. And some of the characters that we seem to be having in the show as well, coming back. We know, like, for instance, we know Punisher's coming back for a bit. So is that going to be them two against each other, or is it going to be one of their team up? The big rumor that Tom Holland might be in it.
To be fair, I wouldn't put it past them putting Tom in it.
I mean, neither would I, but
especially
crazy.
Can we talk? We need to talk about one slight little bit of what looks like a little bit of controversy surrounding why we've possibly not heard anything about the third Into the Spider-Verse movie. Because I showed you it the other week.
Yes.
Yeah. That actor has unfortunately possibly fucked his career.
It doesn't look like the situation's getting any better for him.
And it's sad because, to be honest, those movies were really freaking good.
Yeah, they were. They really were, and he'd done the character really, really well. It was like a real shame.
Like Sony gets Miles. What is it? Sony gets Miles, and Marvel got Peter. Basically, that's what happened. What basically was happening, and then but also Sony cancelling their Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, a lot of bad stuff happening all at the same time for them, really.
Which kind of makes me think, possibly, could it be Sony's not just cancelling those movies? Could it be that Sony's realising that they can't compete anymore with Disney, and realising that maybe it might be time for them to cut their losses and use their own IPs for stuff? Because they've announced a Helldivers movie of all things.
I didn't know that, but I assumed at some point they would have it on there.
Yeah, they're apparently announced like a Helldivers film and something else. Basically, Sony wants to make their own like Sony, video game property movies. Which
no way does that. Yeah, surprise me. And also, they wouldn't be having to compete with a massive company and a popular franchise.
Yeah, they'll be competing with themselves, which, to be fair, for them is better. Because they're not then having to deal with But yeah, if that's the thing, what's happening, and they do then end up selling back Spider-Man back to Disney, yeah, I can see, because Disney's now, because the fact that what happened with Deadpool, let's be honest, we talk about this movie a lot, but what happened with Deadpool was they reclaimed Fox, they'd greenlit the third Deadpool movie, and then they basically used it to go, you know those Fox movies that Fox made of all these heroes and stuff years ago? Yeah, we're just going to canonize them as different timelines in the MCU.
Because that's something that we have now in the multiverse, so we can.
Yeah, and we're also going to say, yeah, these films, watch them because they're actually worth watching as well. I think that was also basically going, yeah, go watch these movies as well because they're actually good. Because let's be honest, apart from the Bryan Singer ones, because let's be honest, the X-Men were terrible. The X-Men ones were not terrible. I will stand by this. It's just compared to the stuff we were getting. Yeah, the stuff we were.
There are some bits, but just avoid his work.
Yeah,
many reasons.
Yeah, it's not that Bryan Singer's stuff's terrible in my opinion. It's the fact that the X-Men era of Bryan Singer was just shit. was not as good compared to what we got. Like, you know, what we were getting at the same time in the comics and the TV series and stuff that were coming out at the time. They were all so much better. And that's
don't get me wrong. I actually really do like for what those films did for what we have now, and all the sort of and you know, for the enjoyment, especially of the first film.
Well, that's why I think we discussed it before when we were on about Deadpool. We've discussed that essentially Deadpool and Wolverine was Disney acknowledging, without these movies, we would not be here.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, for the person in the chat, this game is. I think your miss is in the chat. For Beth, it's in the chat. The game is Tiny Glade. Because I can see the chat, you can't. I actually forget to look at it, which is probably why you're supposed to be here to look at the chat occasionally.
I suppose so.
You can make yourself useful for once.
I could. I'm not gonna.
No, you're not. But yeah, it was Disney acknowledging that. Let's be honest, that without Fox and Blade, Elektra, Daredevil, and the X-Men movies, they wouldn't have had the. I don't think Iron Man and the sort of the Marvel movies would have, when they came out, would have done as well. If you know what I mean, without like the beginning of the superhero genre. Same with like, it feels like No Way Home is kind of acknowledging that without, as much as they probably love to say it, without Sony, and I can pet the duck, and I just found that incredibly awesome. Yeah, without Sony, you can't acknowledge. Without Sony, they would never. And making Spider-Man an Amazing Spider-Man, they never would have. They wouldn't have been here either. Because I feel that's what it kind of feels like they've acknowledged a little bit with those movies. If you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to remember they spent, especially the very early part of the MCU, they spent most of their time saying, no, none of this stuff is canon. Only what you see on your screen with this logo, with this thing, with this name is canon. And then, which then caused loads of problems with things like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Peggy Carter and those sort of things. And now it's them saying, we found a way of getting all these things together, and actually doing so, we're showing the history of it all. But then, on the side note is, Disney now owns Fox, so all those profits, which they spent a long time locking out of their stuff, it's profitable for them now. So they want to use it. I mean, one of the first things Disney did, comic book wise, when they bought Marvel, because there was no way of them getting Fantastic Four back at that time, was they just stopped making Fantastic Four comic books. Yeah. And that was like for a very, very long time. Marvel First Family was not in Marvel. So yeah, you're seeing.
Well, it's why, if you remember, the reason the Inhumans actually exist, because Fox owned the X-Men, and the Humans were the only way they couldn't make money off them. They didn't want to give Fox the money, so they had to make a superhero team to basically represent the same thing and kind of be the replacement.
Well, they retooled the Inhumans. The Inhumans have been around long before that.
Oh yeah, but you know what I mean in regards to it. Is in
Yeah.
Their whole retooling and like becoming the mainline thing, and the X-Men taking this back burner in the comics was because of it.
Yeah, it's good. They didn't own the X-Men anymore. Didn't own mutants. They wanted some other thing with superpowers that could just be because they were born that way.
Yeah, and because ironically not because it's an allegory for us, it's become an allegory for now. It's used as an allegory for now as the for the LGBT community by a lot of people. Because we're just born the way we are, and it's not something we could just change about ourselves. You know what I mean? But people seem to vilify us for it. But it started. It is as like it is. It always has been some way of forming like the civil rights movement and all the various different like things.
It was, yeah. They've always been a mirror to civil rights issues.
Yeah.
In some form.
It's always a mirror to some marginalised group. When, to be fair, I understand it and I understand why it's there, because you need to have something that represents marginalised groups, because if you don't, you're not because yeah. But I want to talk about something that has been happening recently that I think we've discussed a little bit on. But you and I have different theories for why it happens to a lot of characters that in comics are ginger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're moving over. Okay, this has always been an old school thing from books. It's just that and you got to remember there was, especially in TV and film, there's always been a push to bring some kind of inclusion in over time when there wasn't before, which is always a good thing. It's always progressing great. But yeah, when you look at certain characters from literature, especially ginger characters in literature, when they get transferred over to TV and film, they usually get race swapped. So the greatest example, and the main reason everyone kind of notices it, is Shawshank Redemption. The ginger-haired Irish character Red is played by Denzel Washington.
Oh yeah,
and it's a great thing.
To be fair, I'm going to fault Denzel Washington as Red, though. Let's be honest. No, you can't fault Denzel Washington. He's awesome.
I won't argue most of Denzel Washington's roles. He does it pretty dang good. But yeah. It's just a very funny thing, and some people think it's a conspiracy. Most people think it's a coincidence. Some people think it's a coincidence. It's just a funny thing either way, I think.
See, the only theory I have about it is not for all of them, but for some of them. For example, the one that people are bitching about at the minute mostly is Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn, right?
Yeah.
I don't think for some of these characters that were ginger, I don't think they were ever intentionally, some of them were never possibly originally intentioned to be a ginger character. When you look at the hairstyles or the way they were sort of dressed around those times for some of them.
Yeah.
I think they were intended as a character that was either biracial or wasn't meant to be a white character, if you get what I mean. But because of the time they were made, you couldn't do it. They couldn't do it at that point, and it's only now we're seeing these characters become being done in the way they were possibly originally intended. Not all of them. Some of them it is just swapping because let's be honest, a lot of people seem to go, oh, they're swapping it because of blah, 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 this and this, and I'm like, it's no, it's not because of any of that bullshit that you're thinking that they're doing it for. They're swapping them for one reason only. It's that person out of everyone who auditioned for said character, that's the person that was good enough to get the job.
Yeah. And yeah, 9 times out of 10 that is the case.
Because I know I was looking up the audition stuff for a lot of the characters that people go, they were just swapped to this, and I'm like, apparently the audition was just open to any woman, for some of the for Iris I think it was open to, I think from what I was looking up, was to any woman that was in that age bracket, and it's just she went in and she was the one they picked because she did the job really well. And people constantly I see people online saying that her and Barry had no chemistry, and I'm like, they did. I could see the chemistry to them quite easily.
Yeah. Then again, though, I mean,
But I do agree
anyone.
that she probably, but it did towards the end of that show when she was kind of being relegated to being the guy in the chair, basically. If you know what I mean. I can even see you can see from her actress that she was not enjoying the role anymore at that point because.
No. Well, I mean, the problem. There's loads of problems with that, and these are even things that they kind of admitted were the issues, and they should have fixed them when they had the chance,
Yeah.
instead of doing what they did. So, for instance, like saying it was an open casting is kind of a bit of a misnomer because very early on in the design and writing for it, they knew that they were going for the new 52 style version of Barry Allen and that life and the rebirth stuff. So Iris and Wally were going to be African American, so it's not like they were going to make them African American and get Dakota Fanning to play him, because that weren't going to work. So yeah, they were looking for a certain type of actress for that role, but that's because they'd already been trained in the comic books previously.
Yeah.
The same thing goes with a lot of the other characters that people complain about. Usually a character change came first in the comics, for whatever reason.
One that I find funny is that I find personally funny after having, because I know the character is like incredibly different in the comics. Like it's not a race swap; it is a gender swap in terms of the the character in the show is Carly Morgenthau, because everyone forgets it's Carl Morgenthau. Like a lot of people that haven't read the comics, it's Carl Morgenthau. It's a dude.
Yeah.
He is the Flag Smasher. But like a lot of people got mad about them swapping it for the actress. I would rather her play it because she played that character so well that I was actually feeling genuinely bad for them. You know what I mean?
That's what I think. It just kind of shows a lot of people that are screaming from the hills about a lot of why these TV shows aren't working. It's this, that, the other. They're not following the comics. They're not doing this. So many people then screaming, "Oh, it's not like the comics." I haven't read the comics.
No, they're just echoing the echo chamber from that one person that has read the comics that didn't like it, and that's and I'm like, as someone who's read a lot of the comics, I'm like, the MCU does not. If the MCU was one for one the comics from the start, right? Yeah, I would fully be behind you. You know what I mean? But the MCU has never been the comics fully from the start, because why are you complaining about this change in this universe, but not the fact that, for example, Ultron is made by Tony fucking Stark?
Oh yeah, that is
the biggest faux pas to me, because it's like, this is integral to Hank Pym's like whole freaking storyline of the idea that he's the man that made Ultron. It's what made him, guilted him into being a hero most of the time because of what he did and stuff.
Well, there's loads. So it's quite interesting because of the way they changed it. But yeah, you're right. So like the creation of Ultron is actually is a Hank Pym thing, and the same with Vision is a Hank Pym thing. But the difference in the two is one is fully Hank Pym's psyche built into it that started up the whole base, which is Ultron, and he goes nuts, and you kind of find out why he goes nuts a bit later on after this, and then the second one, which is Vision, is an amalgamation between Hank Pym and Wonder Man. That's what stabilizes the character, and you get the hero.
Yeah, it's also one of the reasons we find out. If I remember correctly, one of the reasons Ultron, because his direct copy of Hank goes slightly crazy, is because Hank unfortunately suffers from
bipolar.
Yeah, but in the bit where where he's very medicated for it. That's the thing. It's kind of like, it's his character, and the reason I will say I like Marvel more than DC a lot of time is probably because a lot of, not all of them, like it's changed a lot with like a lot of the new reimaginings of DC characters since the new 52 and stuff. But a lot of, unfortunately, like the DC characters, don't tend to have like humanizing flaws for like when you like outwardly look at them, if you know what I mean. Like it's not as well known like a lot of the character flaws for like a lot of DC characters.
Especially not in the movies. Yeah,
No,
they don't show any of that stuff.
Whereas Marvel has always been about the as Stan, I think what Stan's quoted as saying is the reason that a lot of the characters in Marvel have big glaring character flaws is that the whole point was to show that anyone can be a hero. It doesn't matter if that you've got, if you're, if you've got flaws or something wrong with you. It matters what you do with it.
Yeah.
It matters, like Tony Stark. His whole thing in comics is Tony's a recovering alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
There's like the point in the comics where he will not drink.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is how close we came to the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Leading up to Demon in a Bottle.
Mm-hmm.
But once it became into Disney's hands from basically the second movie onwards, they moved away from Tony Stark being an alcoholic. And all those drinks you see him drinking that are juices that were meant to be booze. And now the issue is he's got an infection in the heart, in the plate around his heart.
Yep.
And that's the issue that he's having and breaking down. But yeah, it would have been him drinking more and more.
Yeah, and then and then having to go to the point of where he goes cold turkey and never drinks again.
No, I mean, the great part of Demon in the Bottle and around that era isn't so much him, discovering the error of his ways. He drives his suit into an aeroplane, and then so in the comic books at this time, no one knows Tony Stark and Iron Man is the same person. In fact, Iron Man is Tony Stark's bodyguard.
Yep.
And works for Stark Tech. That is the thing. And Tony Stark gets drunk, and one of his business rivals has said some nasty things about him. So he gets in the costume drunk and flies over to his business rival and threatens to kill the guy in the suit. His life spirals, and the other Avengers and other people have to get involved. So Tony, what's Tony?
Yeah, it's one of those scenes that's like, it's one of those bits of comics that's like, it's showing that these characters have flaws, they're not perfect, and it's one of the things that I like about the way a lot of people have started writing a certain DC superhero. The one that I genuinely find boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm good. Like I said, I can't. That's another film I'm really looking forward to. It's an actual Superman film with hope in it. It shows the character doing what the character does in the comic book.
I mean, the fact that that thing explodes, he just puts himself in the harm's way of the to protect the little girl. The fact the kid is just putting up the flag, asking for help. Save a Superman, and it's like, yeah.
The fighting and the violence and the stuff from the other movies. Yes, there are fights in Superman comic books. Of course there is. I'm not ever going to say there isn't. But that sort of over-the-top violence and fighting is from video games.
Yeah.
That's not from the comic book. And a great example of this is that the DC kind of has a rule.
Yeah.
Superman doesn't kick. And you kind of will very rarely find an example of it. Up until recently, you would only have actually found one example of this. And when they were making the video game and the rule was Superman doesn't kick, they looked everywhere they could for an image of Superman kicking something. Finally, they didn't fall you back the door. So that's how they got the whole kicking stuff in there. But then you watch the most recent sets of Superman films, and all of a sudden he's kicking shit. Where does that come from? It came from a video game.
Yeah, but it's also it's like, I'm sorry, but the logic of, I need to stop him doing this, I need to break it, I need to stop the laser vision, and I'm like, I'm just thinking in my head, if your eyes can fire that laser vision and without burning out, I'm pretty sure your skin can survive it.
Yeah. So I mean, it will hurt a bit. We know it will hurt a bit.
Well, we know it hurt a bit, but it's full well he would put himself in harm's way before before ever resorting to murder. It's kind of like it's his character flaw. That's the thing.
So,
In like,
so there's tons of let's say there's tons of things before we get to the killing of Rod at all.
oh yeah,
We've got flying up.
we've got the letting his
We've
father
got.
die because
Well, no, I'm just thinking in this situation alone. Right, just in this situation, what he could have, because everyone says, well, there's nothing else he could have done. So let's just think, instead of snapping his neck, he could have blown up.
yep.
He could have forced his head up. He could have put his hands over his eyes. He could have stood in front of him. He could have stood in front of him and then moved the kids out of the way by flying up, left, or right.
Yep.
Or he could have flown down into the ground, taking from all the bedrock into the bottom of the metropolis.
Yeah.
They're all the options I can think of now. So yeah, it's like there's no need for it. It's just it really is just Snyder wanting to go hero kill hero. That's it.
Yeah. It's and I'm sorry, but the guy can't write for shit. I've watched Rebel Moon now, by the way, and the story is just like I have no fucking clue about anything about this film. Like, your story is. I'm glad you didn't write a Star. I'm glad that this was not turned into a Star Wars movie because oh dear God, it would be terrible.
Yeah, and the fact
And I would have preferred to watch the sequels than this. And that's saying something because I don't like the sequels that much.
Well,
But I will say,
this is what gets me right. This is what gets me with him.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix gave him after he wins and whined about how he didn't have enough freedom, didn't have enough money from the studios to make his movies. Netflix gave him all the money, all the freedom. Then he released the first film, and everyone laughed at it for being something like 15% slow motion.
yeah,
When
no.
you check it out, and it's almost unwatchable. And he was like, "Oh no, that's not my fault. That's because Netflix said I couldn't have it as long as I wanted, and they edited it down, and so now they had to re-release it again as the director's cut, the extended director's cut, like they did with Justice League. And guess what? People watched it and went, "This is worse. This is more of the stuff we didn't want."
I know. Like, he's not a bad director itself. That's not his problem. It's don't let him write the movie. That's my thing. If you let him direct the movie, he's fine. You know what I mean?
I think it's like his everything. His all the things that he's into, all his direction styles. For me, like perfectly for Watchmen because of what Watchmen is. But he did not have much of a creation direction. There was strict rules. The same kind of goes with 300. Although that's not really my favourite adaptation. I'm not going to say I didn't watch it multiple times. But then other than that, there is nothing I like of this. It's all creepy, horrible shit. Like one of the movies he's most proud of is Sucker Punch, which is just abuse porn. Just that is all it is. But anyway, let's not talk about this slightly because that's just because we've got, like I say, we've got so much good stuff coming. We've had some great results view-wise because Warner Brothers released the view numbers for Creature Commandos episode 1 and 2, which between those two episodes on the first night got 9,000 viewers. No, 900,000 viewers.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Well, yes, it is. You've got to then half that over the two episodes because two episodes ran on the same night, so it comes around about 45.
Yeah.
Which isn't the best. Now, one thing I will say to this though is that it's not available outside of America unless you watch it illegally. There are, and I know so many people that are watching this outside of America. So when they actually finally release this to anywhere else, those numbers are going to skyrocket. Well, and depending now, because so many people watched it illegally, I don't know if they will go back to it a second run. I definitely will. I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's ridiculous that they're not doing that. But it is the first part of the James Gunn universe that we're getting to see, with the next bit being Superman, and yeah, I think it's going to be a good flickster.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Rumours are of who is it was rumoured to be Batman? The person that's rumoured to be Batman. I don't know if this was actually announced or if it is just rumour. Is the guy who played Hulk in Titans?
Played who?
He played Hulk in Titans.
Titans. Oh,
There was
nice.
Hulk and Hulk.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice. If he's playing Batman, he'd be pretty good.
Because in many ways the two characters are very similar, and also completely not. And he played Hulk very, very well. So I think he could do Batman very, very well. Although there is part of me that would really still like Jensen Ackles to do it.
I would love Jensen to play Batman in a Batman, but I think in this case, let the Hawk guy do it. Because Jensen really does a good Batman voice in animated stuff, but he's kind of that actor that I'm like, I don't really want to see you in everything right now. But also, honestly, if it was Jensen, I would kind of laugh because then that line in Supernatural would be self-fulfilling. I'm Batman. No, you're not. Q Jensen played Batman. No, what'd be funnier is if it was Jared that played Batman, that got Batman.
Yeah, he just doesn't look Batman.
No.
Sadly. He kind of looks more like Nightwing, if I'm honest.
What, Moose?
Moose. Oh, I forgot about Moose.
I love Crowley.
Have you ever seen the interview of him where he talks about where Moose came from? How he came up with actually calling him Moose?
No.
So he would keep calling him weird nicknames on set. And one day they were sitting there talking to Jensen Ackles and went, you know, a moose is just this big, massive unit up top standing on two sticks, waiting for a car just to snap those sticks and it goes straight through the windscreen and kill it. It was like, yeah, I went, where's your moose? And they both broke down laughing. The writers put it in the next thing. So Jensen Ackles is sitting there with the tape and sitting on a chair, and Crowley walks in and goes, where's your moose? And they both broke down laughing. And they kept it in, and that's how the nickname Moose stayed in.
Oh yeah.
Because he's got really thin, tiny stick legs on top of a massive chunky chest.
Let's be also honest though. Mark Sheppard that role. Mark Sheppard is like Hugo Weaving's, but Hugo Weaving's is the movie version. Mark Sheppard is the like the TV show version of. If you don't know this man from some nerdy show, I don't think you're a nerd because he's in almost every single one of them. Just like Hugo Weaving, he's like the equivalent.
He's one of the most unsung actors in the world.
I completely forgot he was in. I forgot he was in X Files as the guy that set things on fire in that episode. I was like, hey, that's Mark Sheppard. I was like, that's Mark Sheppard. I just realised that. It's like, oh shit, it's Crowley.
My favourite.
Or it's Captain Everett Delaware III in Doctor Who. It's like,
well, my favourite appearance of him in anything with Battlestar Galactica was the civil rights lawyer. And he's constantly talking about his cat that he's got, he's feeding his cat,
yeah,
all that sort of stuff. And he's this loving, stable guy until one day they go into his room and the cat's been dead for at least a year. And the guy's broken the fuck down, and there is nothing right of him whatsoever. And it is genius because all the signs have been there, and it isn't until his eye starts twitching at that last moment and he starts doing the thing he's about to do, and he's like, "Oh man, he's been telling us the whole time." And genius, just pure genius. The way he does it, it's literally a twitch of the eye that says, actually, I'm not what you thought.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it.
Oh, I know. It's subtle things. I will say, like, on the subject of films, can we talk about one director that absolutely ruined an live-action adaptation of not one animated series, but two?
Which one is this?
Avatar: The Last Airbender and Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh, it was. I can never remember his
M.
name.
Night bloody Shamalama Ding Dong.
Oh, M. Night Shyamalan. Yes, no, I was thinking of Bao. Is his name Bao Yang? But yeah, no. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, they were both awful.
Like,
Both awful.
tried to fit an entire 4 seasons in one film, did Shyamalan, for, Avatar, and then for Dragon Ball Z, didn't even follow any of the plot. The only reason Piccolo looks as good as he does, and actually is green, by the way, the only reason he is green, is because of James Masters.
I mean, yeah, I know. So I know a little bit.
I didn't even know James Masters was actually in the show. He was one of the American dub actors.
This is a big thing. He was so, and this is actually on record by him.
I know, I've seen the interview where he goes, only the people in the know to actually know it.
Well, the only time I've ever actually heard him directly answer this question is on Inside of Me with Rosenbaum, and so he was in that film, and it was so bad because he knows his shit when it comes to geekdom, and he realised it was really bad.
Well, yeah, he was Spike. He's Spike from Buffy. He is like an icon in, I think, geekdom. He's like Mark Shepherd. He's that much. By the way, his British accent in Buffy, by the way, was that good. That I thought he was actually English until I looked up where he was born.
Very, very good.
It's like, I didn't realise he was from California. It's like, oh, he's actually not English. What the hell, Spike?
He then actually asked to be in the animated voice cast of Dragon Ball Super. But, and this is the key, and I don't think we should say the name, but he actually does that show under a different name than James Masters because he doesn't want anyone to connect the horrible film with a good show.
Yep.
So
he said that. I watched the interview where he says that. He went, "Yeah, I did it." Even in that interview, he doesn't, admit the name he used. He just admits that he is in it. It's just that he used a different name on purpose so that no one would know it was him, because he wanted it to be a little treat for the people that know.
The people that work it out, they can come up to him and they can have the conversation. It's a nice little thing.
But yeah, it's like because he generally, he's also, as he was talking in the interview, he's also on about that he generally liked Dragon Ball as well when it was coming out in the US. It's like, so that's why he fought hard for that movie, because they wanted to make Piccolo blue. Why the fuck would you change Piccolo's color? It's like it's an iconic thing about him. He's green.
The voice actor right now, whose name I can't remember, but he's, amongst many other things, he's the voice of Darth Maul in the animated Star Wars stuff.
Oh, the Clone Wars stuff. I know who you're on about. I can't remember his name, but I know who you're on about.
He was Brainiac in the Smallville series, but he's in loads and loads of Star Wars stuff. And one of my favourite stories around him, he's a massive geek. He is so one of us. It's unbelievable. But he was on the set of one of the Star Wars things, and he was given a piece of scripting, and he read it out, and he was like, "Well, you're wrong. You can't do this." And I was like, "Why?" I went, "Because in the history, this, and this happens, which means this, and this happens, which means this can't happen. What you're making me say." And I was like, "Oh no, we know it's right, and it's not right. No, we've checked. No, you haven't checked. Check with the Bible people, make sure it's right." And they checked. And no, he was right, and they were wrong. Change it.
I think we also need to talk about another thing that has recently been announced. Not a bit. Well, EA has released their fiscal year stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, the game I've been championing, because I will champion it till the end of time, because I enjoy that game generally quite a lot. Unfortunately, did not do very well. Do as well as I thought it did.
What's that?
It only sold 1.5 million copies since launch. At launch, in the first week, they had 1.5 million copies sold. When EA wanted 3 million.
What game?
Dragon Age Veilguard.
Oh, okay.
It only sold 1.5 in the first in the first few weeks. And excuse me, sorry.
To be fair though, compare that to numbers from the previous first week sales of Dragon Age games. That's going to be really, really good. Because they are always cult classics, not hardcore classics.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that one kind of needs to be compared. You need to compare that with itself and not with something else.
Well, yeah. Well, it's also. I do remember one argument. Someone got into an argument with me about when I was saying from what I can see, it sold 1.5 million units in the first like I could see from what I could find around. It was like 1.5 million, possibly 2 in the first week or so, because we didn't have official figures until now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Michael saying 2. Sold 2, and someone going, oh yeah, a game. No, that's not nothing for a good game. A good game sells over 20 million, and I'm like, can you name a game that has sold that many? And I looked it up, and the amount very few, and only one game this year has sold 20 million. And I'm sorry, but that game didn't even get Game of the Year, much to its salty fans. Black Myth Wukong.
Really? Of course, that was a global hit as well.
I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, having seen gameplay of it, and generally not that impressed by it, I'm not going to lie. Yeah? But having seen the gameplay of it, and it doesn't look as amazing as some of its fans try and make it out to be. Yeah?
Yeah.
But the only reason the game, in my humble opinion, was anywhere near as popular as it was the developer's controversial take, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the developers set out, for anyone who wanted an early release copy, they set out, you weren't allowed to talk about feminism, woke things, or anything like a bunch of, basically right-wing buzzwords. And
well, I think you've got to remember as well. This was in their defence here. I would say that as a company that was really opening up to a global market that they were never intending to open up to originally, and they just wanted the best they could.
Mm-hmm. I don't have any fault with the way with what they said.
They probably wanted to try to avoid it.
Oh yeah, but it's more that it's the reason I think the game did so well, got like a massive amount of traction with sort of like Asmongold, the right wing sort of media people, grifters that have been kind of, in my opinion, at the minute are ruining gaming, because they are just ruining shit with the way they are, constantly getting people riled up about something, declaring something like this game shouldn't be supported months before it comes out without any gameplay or stuff. It's just seeing a trailer or seeing some of it that to them they perceive as a quote unquote woke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they get all their viewers riled up, and then those people start hating it. I don't think people go, "Oh, Veilguard would have owned if it didn't have this," and I'm like, dude, it would have if it wasn't for the 6 months before launch campaign of people just spreading misinformation about the game. It gets people to second guess whether they should buy things because, why is this being so hated on if the dev's done something controversial? And then you find, normal people like me, I gave it a chance. I was going to give it a chance either. I gave it a chance. I enjoyed it. Is it the best Dragon Age game? No. Is it a shit Dragon Age game? No. Is it? It is a decent Dragon Age game. I enjoyed the story. The story, in my opinion, starts off far too slow. I'm not going to even deny that. Because, honestly, replaying it a second and third time, getting through that first act the second and third time, was actually genuinely really annoying. It's not one of those things of, I can get through it. It's one of those things of, please get over to the end of the third act. Yeah. Please get me to the second act again, because the first act is just so slow, to build up everything but the second act is speeds up and you get going and you're like, yes, this is where shit's hit the fan. We're going through the storyline. We're getting to the cool epic, points and fights where we're getting some victories, some defeats, and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all this. But that's the thing, is we're getting these cool moments like this, and it's a simple fact of the matter is that I will say Veilguard starts slow, but once you get past that first act, it is such a good game and it's worth playing for anyone who's like even a passing fan of the act. But also, a lot of people are going, oh, it's shit and it didn't do as well. I'm sad they're going as well. Is the game came out 10 years after the previous title, and Dragon Age has never been a popular franchise because people were calling Dragon Age Inquisition a failure because it only sold about I don't know how many it sold over its lifetime, but I know at the time when people were calling it a failure, it only sold barely like 2.5 million units of the game. And one of the devs even went, I don't know why people are calling the game a failure. It sold over 2 million copies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's sold over 2 million copies. To me, that's a win. We might not. And I also think EA knew this game was going to be a loss leader. It's going to be a loss. They were relying on it not being a loss this year. On it being a loss, because unfortunately they knew it was. It's been in development hell 10 years. Just that they expected it to do better than it did. Sadly, it didn't. But we live, we move on. Unfortunately, people are going, oh, BioWare's got a hiring freeze at the minute and all this other stuff, and I'm like, they're clearly gonna get rid of a load of staff. And I'm like, they've just got rid of like the lead project developer for Veilguard's just left. I'm like, the company is working on one game. They don't need 2 project leads. Like 2 people that head project managers. So it's either her choices are: I stay for a bit, get paid for a bit longer, get fired because we're not working on another game, or I leave now with grace and go to another company. Like
there's going to be very, very, very little else happening like that.
Yeah. And people going, oh, they're not hiring or any new staff. They're a big studio. I'm like, BioWare is a studio of 200 people. That is not actually big in like AAA studios. That's a small AAA studio. That's a tiny AAA studio. They only work on 1 to 2 games at a time, so they don't need to hire staff unless they're working on a second game, and they're only working on 1 game, which is Mass Effect 5.
Yeah.
Which I can get why some people are hesitant because they're going to inject woke out, like they're not woke, but you know what I mean. Some of the right wing grift's like hesitant. I'm like, sorry, but I've said this to Yana when I was talking about Veilguard, where it feels like when they got towards the second half of that game, the writing team had learned where everyone in the team was kind of how they were good, what their specialty is and what their strength was in the game, like their strength at writing was, and went, okay, you guys, you won't focus on the main plot, you write this part of the plot, you write this part, and it all comes together cohesive and like a full story with, like, just firing on all cylinders at that point, in my opinion, right? Yeah. But also, a lot of people, I'm going to say this, look at old BioWare and go, oh, BioWare's writing was peak. It was amazing.
It really wasn't.
It wasn't. It was cringed. I look back at that and go, this was amazing when I was a teenager. As an adult, I look back at a lot of this dialogue and go, this dialogue is just shocking. Why did I think this was good? Like, they go, oh, Mass Effect, you have all these impassioned bits. I'm like, yeah, but Mass Effect's always been a space opera, and Dragon Age has never had peak dialogue. It's always had a lot of cringy things. I tried to play Origins, and I think I've discussed it with you we've discussed it previously on a previous episode when I was replaying Inquisition. When I was playing Inquisition on the episode. We had that instance where I was like, I tried replaying Origins, and I went from loving Alistair, who used to be one of my favourite characters, because I love the voice actor for Alistair, because he's, played a lot of fun characters in BioWare games, and Alistair is one of my favourite characters, to going, I really can't stand him and I want to punch him in the face. Because I've gotten older, and I'm like, I don't like you anymore.
A bit more grown up, yeah, a bit wiser.
Yeah. Like, Morrigan, I can't fault Morrigan, but that is personal bias, and we both know my personal bias towards why I have a personal bias towards Morrigan. It's not because of Morrigan, it's the voice actress, because we both know that's Claudia Black, and anything I've ever seen Claudia Black in, I fall in love with her character immediately, because it's also the minute I hear that voice, I'm like, well, and this is now my new favourite character in this game. it's like, because it's like, oh look, it's Claudia Black, and this is my new favourite character, and I'm biased towards it, and I will fully admit that. I loved the little when she shows up in the first act in Veilguard, because they have a few cameo characters show up, and people get mad because Veilguard doesn't have the keep anymore that was in Dragon Age Inquisition, and was Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition. But I'm like, it's set in a new part of the world, so why do your choice? It's set in a new part of the world. It's also set 10 years after Inquisition, 8 years after Trespasser.
Yeah.
Right, Dragon Age 1, 2, and 3 take place over the course of 5 years to start with, I believe. When they start. That's why your decisions mattered. It's been 10 years. It's been nearly... I was checking it. It's been about apparently nearly... Sorry, no, they don't think of 5 years. It takes place even more, but it's been like 20 years apparently, near enough, since Dragon Age Origins in-game, not in real life. Not just in real life. Meaning, your Grey Warden's probably dead.
Yeah.
And whoever, if Hawk's stuck in the Fade, they're stuck in the Fade, and it's like, oh yeah, or if whoever's, it's like, why don't my decision matter? Because you're not in Fade, you're not on the other side of the world. You're on the other side of the world. You are in Tevinter, not Ferelden. Why would your decisions from Ferelden matter? They don't. Yeah. They've literally established in Inquisition that Tevinter, and also people going, Tevinter's not like we were told it was in the first and the second game. And I'm like, yeah, because they had a character in the third game that they straight up told you. Tevinter is nothing like what you guys describe it.
It's a different place.
It's you guys describe it as, we call you I find a lot of your customs barbaric should have kind of told you that Tevinter is a more civilized place than Ferelden. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's it, and it's kind of the idea. And also, why would you want to? You're meant to be in a different place in time anyway. So why do you want it to be exactly the same as the place you've got 3 games in?
Well, it's not just that. It's more that they get mad because we were told Tevinter has slavery everywhere in Blood Magic, and I'm like, where's all that? And I'm like, the only area in Minrathous that you go to during the game is it's also the place we go to in Minrathous is the poor district. Not the uptown where you would see mages that do blood magic. Because it is openly done in Tevinter. Even they say it in the game, it's not a frowned upon thing, but it's a disdained thing. Where
like I say, this is all If you play the game, you kind of get the idea that a lot of that was propaganda from the people in charge, and you learn differently.
You learn differently as you explore this. Well, the one thing that made me laugh the most was people going, out of place diversity because we had an Asian elf and a black elf.
Yeah, well, they had those in the other games anyway, so it kind of...
Well, they weren't... Yeah, you had... people go, they didn't have that in the previous game. I'm like, I was playing an elf in the previous game. My skin colour was black.
Yeah.
And...
Yeah, that's just all bullshit made up by the people who want to be...
Yeah, that's the bullshit made up by the right-wing grift. The diversity is like... It's like that Steam creator that we that I like to send you ones on there that I find absolutely hilarious. For their reasons for calling it woke, like uses body type A and B instead of using biological sex.
Mm-hmm.
And Avowed, by the way, I want to buy Avowed even more because the guy who's making it pissed off Elon.
Pretty good. Someone should.
Well, you know how he did it? Because Elon was complaining because the game, he was calling it woke because apparently, because the game has pronoun selection and you can have they, them pronouns. And the art director basically made the joke of, this is the wokest shit ever, baby. To piss him off even more. And people go, anyone who sides with, and I'm like, after we have seen what we saw at the inauguration, we're not going to mention it because we deliberately try not to, let's be honest, discuss politics in here because we are both very animated about certain topics. But after that, anything that pisses that twat off, I will fully support. I will buy that game immediately because it's Obsidian as well. I'm buying it because it's Obsidian.
Yeah, could be a good thing.
Fucking Obsidian. I will never not buy a game they make because, yes, unfortunately, a lot of the time if they're getting published games, their games are released a little bit too quick because a lot of publishers do not give them time. But Obsidian RPGs are always really fun.
They are always fun, and another great thing about them is, as well, I mean, this is Obsidian, not their game, is that if rumours are true, they are doing the next Fallout game.
Yeah.
they're doing another basically a side Fallout game. I am looking forward to that if that is true.
Avowed. I'm fully willing to buy this. Yeah, Obsidian Entertainment and Xbox Game Studios is the publisher. I'll buy Avowed because honestly, it just looks so good. Like it's a first-person RPG. It's Obsidian, and I love Obsidian shit, and it just looks fun. Like, I'm not going to pre-order it because I don't pre-order games. Yeah.
No point pre-ordering a digital download. Yeah.
Well, sometimes they've started offering a reason to do it. A little bit. But I don't want to. But I don't. But a lot of them, it's you buy the premium edition. But I can't justify spending like £80 on a premium edition of the game.
Oh.
It would let me play it 5 days early.
Oh well, no.
Which cool and awesome. But it's just I don't really care about playing the game early. If that makes sense. I'm not fussed on that respect.
Yeah.
There are very few get. Wild Veilguard is a game I pre-ordered. I didn't pre-order. I bought it on the day of release because I got paid on it on the day it came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the only games in the last few years I have pre-ordered, in all honesty, have been Age of Wonders Planetfall, because I knew from the get-go of that game, like when it came out, I knew from the get-go it was gonna be one of those games that I was just gonna play.
Enjoy. Yeah. That's completely understandable.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, there's no reason for arguing that one. I think that's a good excuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, but under normal circumstances, there's not really much of a point, in my opinion. Like I say, it's one of those games that like you say, you're going to play hardcore.
Well, yeah.
It's a series that you've spent years playing.
Yeah, that's the exact reason I pre-ordered Planetfall, because Age of Wonders I've played since the first game. Every single game in the franchise has been a game I have come to and played the next one that's come out.
Yeah.
So, and not Planetfall, sorry, and Age of Wonders 4 that came out recently, I pre-ordered that because it was, came out 2 years ago now. And I pre-ordered that. I supported that with buying the the season pass. I bought the new season pass for it as well because seriously, the DLC they've done for that I've knocked out, and it's to me it's really what I like in a fantasy game. Because to talk about Age of Wonders Planet 4, for example, the way they've done the race system in it. So you know how normally in a fantasy game you pick a race and that race plays the exact same way every time you play.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So in Age of Wonders 4, instead it's you pick a form, which is your race, etc. Yeah. And whoops, I've just lost my camera. But yeah, you pick your form, which is your race. So I pick elves, for example. Yeah. Then because I picked elves, I can then choose to say, okay, I then pick what do I want my traits to be. So my elves could be plant herbivores, and they're really sneaky, and they're like they're herbivores, really sneaky, but their mounts are all giant eagles, for example. They're cavalry masters, so they have more cavalry units than normal. Yeah. Then you pick your culture. So you could be high elves, you can be dark elves, you could be industrial elves, you could be primal followers. You know what I mean? You get to kind of mess with the usual fantasy trope of we're elves, we're the magic guys. Yeah. No, it's like I'm elves. I'm a bunch of barbarians that are we're the barbarian, the barbarian faction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Genuinely, it's the thing I like about it, because it's it lets you take the fantasy tropes that you would normally get. You know what I mean? And then throw them on their head.
Well, yeah, that's one of the yeah.
It's the thing that's more games need to do, because it's why I like Stellaris, because Stellaris lets you role play as like your civilization you've made, like, and so does Age of Wonders 4. It lets you make a bunch of elves, and then you pick your sort of like your magic tome, you pick your leader. Like your leader can be like either your leader could be like a champion of that, of those people, so it's like he's part of that race himself. You could pick like a wizard king who doesn't even have to be part of the race you are. Who they could be like your wizard king could be like a lion man, basically leading a bunch of that's leading a bunch of elves or something. Or you can be your leader can be a dragon, or your leader can be like this eldritch abomination that's come from like the void and stuff. Like, it's giving you the freedom and the creativity to make, to take a fantasy world and make it your own, rather than and because it does that, it's why I generally enjoy the game. It's letting me have. Sorry.
It always it also adds a little bit more agency to you playing your character. Every part about it has been attuned to what you want.
Yeah, that's the point.
I like that. That's my approach.
Yeah, because it's because Age of Wonders is a franchise that it's not so much about your empire and your army as much of it. It's more about because you have a hero, you have your leader who's like the leader of this empire. Like, they are your sovereign, your champion, your eldritch overlord, your dragon, king, etc. You know what I mean? It's their journey and their civilization. They're the overall like emperor. So you're leveling them up. You're giving them skills, and it's kind of like it makes you have more connection to them, because like, oh yeah, my champion is from this people of elves that are all like the elves that are basically all about technology and building like mechanical golems. We're not about nature and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I say, these are the people that I created, and these other people always share the same values. So you pick one over the other kind of thing. Yes.
Or if you're a wizard king, it's like, I made these people in this image because they're my slaves, or they're my servants, or I came to this world and showed my awesome power, and these people just bowed before me. You know what I mean? Like, it's this whole thing of it gives you a story to tell with your character that's more RPG like, and it's emergent gameplay, and I like it because you get to subvert fantasy tropes. Like, my favorite dwarf race that I made are literally a bunch of dwarfs that their whole thing is they're mages. They're a mystic civilization. Their whole thing is summoning like monsters to assist them in combat. That's their whole like
that's kind of cool
thing.
And it's animal.
Yeah, well, they've got their summoning isn't animals, because you could literally make a druid civilization if you wanted. Their whole summoning is they basically summon like demon, like astral beings from other planes of existence, basically, to assist them in combat. Like, they summon giant like astral serpents, or eldritch abominations and stuff, because they're not fussed about what it is. They just use summoning to protect themselves, and that's like the way I play them. And it's that story is how I do it, and it's, for me, that's why I like RPG. I like some RPGs are more customizable than others. I don't get. Let's talk about a game that's currently getting not out yet. A game that released their trailer, and then there's a bunch of people getting mad because the story's gone to its logical conclusion of who is now the main character. If you know what game I'm on about, you should know.
Nope. I'm interested to hear when it is.
The Witcher 4.
Oh, they swapped over to the new Witcher, I guess.
Yeah, because, they swallowed a new character. It's Ciri, because Ciri's the main character in the books as well. Like, Geralt dies in the books. Like, by the time of The Witcher 3 is set, and a lot of the stuff in The Witcher, like, I think apparently The Witcher 3 and stuff, takes place, because the games don't follow the books. Geralt's been dead for a while.
Yeah.
Like, in the books.
Yeah, he's not been the hero for a very long time.
Yeah. But people complaining because, they're making us play as Ciri. Why are we playing as Ciri? And why is she now like past the trial of the Witcher because women can't do it? I'm like, wasn't there that one DLC in like either Witcher 1 or 2 or 3 where there was a female Witcher from one of the other schools?
Well, one of the things that's kind of happened is that the people that were making the Witcher series as you play it, as most people play it, their main problem is they've run out of making stories. They don't know how to make any stories. They're dumb. And the only thing that they can now do logically is go back to the books and take their inspiration again from the book.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that means a whole new character for you people. You know what it also means? Fortunately, a whole new character for you people. Um, it's just funny that way.
Yeah, so what they've done instead is they went, okay, we'll go to the logical conclusion the book did, which is, well, it's also, if you played The Witcher 2, not Witcher 2, Witcher 3, the logical ending of The Witcher 3, like, the actual ending is Geralt is not the Witcher anymore. He's no longer, you know...
Yeah. I mean, I did personally give up on it all.
You know, you get what I mean, though, in regards to it. It's like, he's not
Yeah.
the Witcher anymore. He wouldn't, at this point anymore, he'll have left with Triss or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't really care for the book too much. I found them rather repetitive, and the game's the same problem, but different issues. Yeah,
Oh, no, but
I
it's
can't give too much of an expectation on it.
No, but you
It's
get what I
mostly
mean.
for
My
me.
point is just what
Yeah.
you complain about nothing. They're complaining for the sake of complaining. That's what the reality of it is.
Well, yeah, yeah. But then, what else would these people have?
Exactly.
Nothing.
Well, it's like these people. The problem is that I think what it is that the way what they think doesn't stand up to scrutiny. Like, and it's also if they don't have anything to these grifters, these sort of grifters that do this shit, they don't have anything to stand on. The minute that people stop listening to them for their inane, whatever the hell inane, stuff they go on about.
Yeah.
The minute people stop listening to them, or the minute that people don't care anymore, it's suddenly like, what do I do? I don't know what to do anymore. And it's one of them things of just, it's kind of funny that the minute you guys all suddenly start realise, it's because also the people they target are the people that are honestly terminally online, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Also, it's a thing to notice that not all fandom is for you.
No, not everything.
You know, not everything is for you.
Example, there are Star Wars stuff that I don't like, and I just don't care, and I don't watch it. It's not for me. There's other Star Wars stuff that I absolutely adore, and I watch it. For example, Bad Batch and Clone Wars. Loved it, watched it to death. I have watched it so many times that it's, you know what I mean? Watched it so many times, but stuff like The Acolyte, I couldn't get into it, and it's not The Acolyte's fault because I actually was enjoying the first few episodes. It's just the story was so slow that I wasn't getting. It was just for me, it wasn't for me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I gave it a try, and that was my response. My response was, it's just not for me.
It's not for me. There's nothing wrong with that. You're right.
Yeah, that's the point. But
I
will never say The Acolyte's I will never say it's a downright a bad show because it's just not for me. There's people that enjoy it. I'll never say, it should never have been made because it wasn't for me. It's because not everything is made for me. For example, one of my friends absolutely loves Andor, and I watched it. It was good, but I stand by what I said when I first watched it. When I watched it after I told my friend, I stand by what I said to them, which is simply, I don't know why I'm supposed to care about any of these characters because I've already watched Rogue One, and I already know that they all die, so I don't care.
I've already watched the original Star Wars, so there is no future for any of these things.
Yeah, and it's a thing of, I think, and if Andor had come out before the movie, before Rogue One, right, and everything, yeah, I would probably be more invested in it and probably enjoy it a lot more. I do agree with my friend in the fact that it is the best way of telling a Star Wars. One of the best things of telling a Star Wars story is without any Jedi in it, like at all. You know what I mean?
Very much so.
And it's such a nice way to see into what the Empire is like, seeing the the bureaucracy and the background of the Empire. Like, what the normal officers did. It's like that. I enjoyed a lot. I won't even fault that. That was really nice to see.
That was kind of my thing. That was it. That was my problem. I did want a bit more Star Wars, a little bit less politics on two, and that's why I kind of didn't like Caprica. Same sort of issue. It was just people sitting in boardrooms.
Mm-hmm. I can appreciate. I can understand that. Like, it's not for everyone, as we both said.
It wasn't. No. I mean, I personally at the moment, like for me, I think they're one of the best pieces of Star Wars media in decades. And don't get me wrong, I love Mandalorian. I enjoyed Ahsoka. Um, I and that stuff. But I think the one thing that's actually going to be the driving force, the thing that people are going to look back and go, actually, that is quite important, is Skeleton Crew.
I can't comment on this one yet, as I've yet to watch it.
Because yeah, I know you haven't seen it yet, but yeah, I think that is going to be the show that people will look at and go,
That was actually really good, basically.
But, no, they're going to look at it and go, do you know what? I think they took inspiration from that. Another thing, I think that is, I think it's the way that they're end up going to go with this, with the Star Wars stuff, storytelling wise.
Yeah, we'll see. But it's the Star Wars is going to be. It's always been divisive, Star Wars, because you have people that love the original trilogy but hate the prequels and hate the new stuff. You have people who love the prequels but love the prequels but hate the new stuff. You've got sets of fans now that love the sequels but have never watched the originals. You know what I mean? Because that were young when they were coming out. And I do think, in all honesty, Star Wars is always going to be this thing that's going to be very divisive among people. You know what I mean? And it's because it's simple. It is a simple reason. We both know the exact reason why it's going to be divisive among people. It's just it's
one of the reasons it's going to be generational.
Yep.
Because these do come. Each one has sort of come out after, in some cases, many generations after the fact. And they're always going to be viewed especially for the first time, they're viewed in the eye of the person's perception of that time,
Yeah.
If you're seeing the first time I've seen the Star Wars films is the first time I've ever seen Star Wars films, the graphics you see is amazing if you're from the 90s. But then if you're born in the 2000s, you look at the original trilogy and go, oh, that's a bit janky, especially if it's not the special edition one. But then you watch the prequels and go, actually, this isn't too bad, I guess. I wouldn't pick some, would I say today. And then the next form up from that is the sequel trilogy. So yeah, I get what you mean. It is a generation thing.
Well, that's the point. It's going to be a thing with different people, different generations' opinions of the show. That's the thing.
100%.
Yeah, like I loved Ahsoka. I have this debate with one of my friends a lot. With my friend and I both have different opinions on Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. I absolutely loved her as Ahsoka. My friend doesn't like her as it, and I'm like, but to me it's like she's Ahsoka in Rebels, where Ahsoka wasn't this quippy teenager anymore. Ahsoka was kind of this, had been through hell.
She's grown up and seen the person who trained her turn into a massive villain.
Into a mass murderer.
Yeah. And
it's also the fact that we're at that period. It's also, in my opinion, it's the period of Star Wars where you're like, yeah, she is. She's not, as we said, she's not a kid anymore. So.
Yes. Well, all her friends are dead, and they're all dead because of her other friend.
Mm-hmm.
She's not in the best place.
No. She's also been through hell. She's literally, at that point, been brought back by Ezra, from when she should have died, from the world between worlds and stuff. You know what I mean? Which is, let's be honest, the Star Wars multiverse. That's the actual thing. What it is, it's meant to be the way to the Star. So the What If universe version of Star Wars, essentially.
Which is there's other bits and bobs as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept because, to be fair, I actually like the idea of multiple different versions of Star Wars with different slightly different. I would love a show of like that, but we'll never get it.
Right. The one thing I will say is interesting that people don't really also talk about is at this point in her life, she's also given up on the religion that she's been brought up on.
Mm-hmm.
She's technically going against it in in the way of the Jedi. Well, she's not really a Jedi, she's a Force user. She's almost an apostate.
Yeah.
She's not a Jedi, she's not a Sith, she's another thing.
Yeah, and she's not a grey Jedi as some people try and claim she is, because because it's she's never fallen to the dark side, which is what those people that try and claim she is always forget. To be a Grey Jedi, you have to fall to the dark side, and she never did.
No, there are other people that have done stuff like her as well. I mean, she's not unique.
No, she's not. But some people try and say she's she's the first like canon Grey Jedi. I'm like, no, she's not. What? Why? Simple. Ahsoka never fell to the dark side. That's like a requirement for a Grey Jedi because you have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have to strive for balance. They have to embrace the darkness, and Ahsoka never did. She fights for the light, but she's just not a Jedi anymore. She's just a Force wielder.
That would have been a better story for a prospect. Isn't a prospect storyline? Is someone that is a Jedi, a Force user that isn't a Jedi, isn't a Sith, and it's all about one side or the other, either taking control of her or getting rid of her. That would have been better.
Could have been, but we'll never know. But I am wondering what they're going to do with this season 2 of that show, just because of Thingy's death.
I
We'll
don't know.
We'll see.
Weirdly enough, a lot of different companies happen to deal with that issue right now with main characters.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you did watch any of the Boys or its spin-off shows, but the spin-off show set in a university, one of their main characters died in a car crash. There was another show a friend of mine was telling me about the other day, in which one of their main cast actors just died as well. So it just seems to be a random set of times where all this is happening, you know?
Well, there is a possible reason why some of them might have died. Why it might be happening. I don't mean it, and I'm not something dark. I'm just on about some of them might have lived in a certain state that is currently on fire. That was on fire. For
is that what happened? Is that what happened in this case? I don't know. The other guy was that.
Well, no, with Baylan Skoll, it was the guy that played Baylan Skoll. It was he just died. Ray Winston died, didn't it? Ray Thingy died. Just died of old age. Whereas the other one for that show that your friend's on about might be someone unfortunate, because I think the death count's only at 10, so it's a few people have died. They've gotten lots of people out. I know that some people have died because of refusal to leave their home, which I can't blame them for.
I think the one that I thought that was self-induced. I don't think it had nothing to do with the fires.
Yeah, but the LA wildfire's been devastating to watch. And then, do you know one? Okay, can we talk about conspiracy theories and conspiracy nuts, please, for just a little bit? I need to get this. I need to understand how the hell this conspiracy happened. So, a lot of things I see from right-wing people, right? They seem to say that somehow the libs or the Democrats can control the weather, right? As an explanation for why red states get hurricanes and shit. Yeah? But then, the minute a blue state gets something tragic happening, example, the California wildfires, suddenly it's the wrath of God, and I'm sat there going, guys, if these people could control the weather like you keep saying they could, why would they not just make their entire state rain all year round? Not all year round, but rain whenever they need it. Like, keep their state in the perfect environment where it's idyllic and anyone would want to move there because the weather is never like bad. It's like nearly decent weather all year round, like the perfect weather you'd want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it is a weird. Yeah, I mean, well, that's the problem with all these sort of things, isn't it? If you think about it,
you start thinking about it, it makes no sense.
Only work as long as you don't think about it.
Yeah. Oh, it's alright. The funniest one I saw is look all these conspiracy theories we were right about, and I'm like, none of those things came true that you just said. You just started mentioning.
Yeah.
None of those things came true. They latch onto the one thing, or one of them might have come true, and it's like one of them comes true, and it's like all of the others clearly they're true because this one is. And it's like no, it wasn't. that was true because everyone could see it. That's not a conspiracy theory. The rest of the world knew that was happening, could see that was happening.
Yeah.
You just like to think that you're smarter than everyone else, and you're not ignorant. And it's like, and it's like, no, that's not how this works. Look, it is. No, it's not. It's not. Sit down, Terry. That's not how it works.
Sit down. No, yeah, there's some weird motherfuckers out there.
I just find it hilarious, personally.
Yeah, and you think, that's right. If you think about it long enough, you realise, oh, it's crazy. And that should last around about 30 seconds.
Exactly. I always find it funny, though. It's just like the weather one, though, makes me laugh because I'm like they have all this weather technology, and they use it to punish red states because they go against what they want, and I'm like, why would they do that? If I could control the weather, why the fuck would I punish someone else and not just make things better for people in my own state constantly? Yeah. Oh, your part of the state hasn't had rain for so long, and you're getting a drought. Here, have some rain.
Exactly.
Why would I not?
Do you know how? I mean,
and I think the honest thing is, it's because people that have that mentality, that not people that necessarily vote that way, people that have that mentality of, that have that sort of IQ thing, they can't comprehend, right? Doing stuff to help others. I don't think some of them can't comprehend it. They think everything is us versus them, and has to be. They're out to get me, or they're out to get, and it's like, whereas a lot of people that are on the other side of it, the states that they always seem to lambast and stuff, that vote the other way, tend to be the people that try to help one another, even if unsuccessfully, or try to have the appearance of helping each other. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, like I say, the other side of it is that you've got to ask one who is actually sort of believing these conspiracies and then spreading it online. Mm-hmm. And also the news companies, depending on which side it is, if they can get someone doing a soundbite saying, "I believe in Jewish space lasers," they're gonna be showing that left, right, and centre. And it kind of sort of skews the idea, especially it skews the idea of the side you want. Look, they're actually that crazy. They believe in that shit. And then on the other side of it is, oh my god, look how crazy this media company is putting that stuff up. It's obviously fake news.
Oh yeah.
They're just trying to make it look stupid. So it's all swings around. I mean, that's what, and the thing is, like, people actually believe this stuff. They're not the everyday people.
They're not.
They're the kind of person that trolls movie show posts on Facebook because they've got nothing better to do on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm not going to go see the Barbie film because it's promoting worldwide nuclear agendas. What are you talking about? No, sit down. Just don't watch Barbie. Go watch Mad Max or something. Just chill out. Why do people just get weird?
Oh yeah, it is weird. It's the thing of.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand entirely with it. It's just weird. I just find conspiracy theories nuts weird. I feel like we could do an entire episode just on conspiracy theories and just all the crazy ones. And I think I would be sitting here laughing for hours. I don't know what it is. I don't even believe. I think conspiracy theory nuts are like insane, and I think they're dumb. You know what I mean? But some of them I just want to read and go, how do you believe this?
Well, something my wife told me about that reminded me of all this crap the other day. Along this conspiracy theory far up front, at least, but to some extent. So there was a company for a period of time that was their thing and you'll know it if you watch YouTube, was you could buy a small plot of land in Scotland, and under old English law, you were classed as a lord, and you are now a lord, and all the rights and privileges of that. Well, one, it wasn't lord, it's laird, which is basically an old Scottish term for owner of some land. The company never actually sold you any land; they just gave you a certificate saying that they did. Um, but there was a little group of info warrior nut job guys, that their idea was to buy up together enough land from this company to be able to stake a claim in England as lords and take over the Houses of Parliament. And apparently there was a good couple of thousand of them before they realised the company was telling them bullshit.
To be fair, they're probably American. Well,
no, this was an American thing. But they were, these were all, if I remember correctly, they were all under sort of the info warriors banner. They were supporters of
Alex Jones.
And well, it wasn't something that he was supporting. It wasn't something he was shouting out there by any means. I'm not going to put words into that guy's mouth. He's got enough problems. He was just a friend. They all found out that he was worthless. They had thousands of acres of Scottish land in paper, not in reality. I never thought they were going to be bringing in like hundreds of lords into the House of Parliament. Like, nope. Not unless you've got a ticket. It's a day they're doing that.
Yep. And also you're not a lord in the House of Lords. The House of Lords is a name, mostly, at this point.
Well, no, like I say, it wasn't. That was the funny part about all of it. It wasn't because you're not classed as a lord. You're classed as a laird, and that is a landowner in Scotland. It's not the same thing as a lord. And it was just them just screwing everyone over.
Them then learning. Oh crap! I didn't read the terms and conditions and what this is. No, you didn't. No, you didn't, Jeremy. You didn't read anything. No. Don't ask me why Jeremy is the name I go to for that. I don't know why Jeremy is the first name that pops in my head.
I always go for Terry.
You go for Terry. I go for Jeremy. It can't be Terry because Terry's the dude in my every single Warhammer army I make. He's the first guy that dies in every game. Oh God, you killed Terry again.
That's your problem.
Oh, he killed Terry 2 and Terry 3. Everyone in my army is named Terry.
Not Terry 3.
Sorry, I'm just dealing with other things at the moment as well at the same time.
Multitude of problems.
But yeah, this week we haven't really got much to actually talk about. To be honest, we talked about random shenanigans and other crazy stuff. Really.
Yeah.
We've talked about Dead and Born Again. I really am excited for it. I will get round to watching Skeleton Crew before next week, so we can actually have a proper chat about it. So we can actually. So that I can actually have a chat about it. Well, not next week, sorry, before 2 weeks from now, for the next episode. Personally, like, game-wise, at the minute, I have been loving the Tempest Rising demo. There will be a video for that demo going out shortly, and that sheep had an umbrella.
That sheep has an umbrella.
But there'll be a video going up for it shortly. What I'm might be doing, Jax, is to promote the demo. I think I might upload it tonight, and I may swap the video that's going out tomorrow with the Tempest Rising demo video.
Wait, do exactly that, because that's exactly what they should do for shows like Serenity. So we're going to be talking about a show that hasn't even come out yet. It will be genius.
It'll be perfect. They'll never know what hit them.
Let's just see if we can get the popularity of.
But no, it's more that I was thinking of doing it because the demo. To be fair, a lot of the stuff that if I put it up when it goes up normally, if I put it up now, it won't make sense because I'll put it up because I remember we talked about sometimes while recording it how the demo's gone.
Yeah. I know. That's why I'm going funny. You're going to get information from the episode you won't get to see yet. Hilarious.
Yeah, so I think I will leave it the way it is. But in regards to it, you will see the Tempest Rising demo playthrough. It's on easy. It's against me versus 4AI. And I will admit we made a slight mistake where I forgot to press the record button until the 5 minutes into the game. Because I was enjoying the game too much. So I will fully admit that I made a mistake there. You won't see that episode for a couple of weeks, though. So the demo will gone. So if you're watching this now, and you like real-time strategy games, go on the Steam Strategy Fest, download Tempest Rising's demo, and play it. If you love Command & Conquer, you will not be disappointed.
No, it's very fun. It was very fun, indeed.
I think we both got distracted mostly by the game rather than talking about the features of it.
Well, yeah, we did. And that's a sign of a good game.
Yeah. There'll be another the video coming up after that one is another good game that I think we both really enjoyed. We really enjoyed, and also, we are going to do. Well, we'll discuss this later anyway. But in a bit, we are going to do a different kind of thing for one of our episodes of the live stream of the podcast. I think I was going to do it for the end of February. I was going to do a live one of the podcast episodes being a live showcase, Jax, of part 2 of the video that goes up tomorrow, and revisiting the game that goes up tomorrow, basically. Because I think that
Fair enough. That's fine.
Because I think that that game, we said we wanted to have another look at it, and I think if we do it in a live stream on the podcast, do it live, we can do it over the space. We can do a full 2-hour episode on it rather than it just getting that 30 minutes, and we can discover a lot more about that game, and then we can go back to the other one at a later date as well. I think doing it that way as well gives us a little bit of gives it a bit more of a leeway and a bit more of a show in the game, because I think that those 2 games do deserve a second look at, because one of them we had not performance issues, we had the game break on us mid-recording and we couldn't figure out how to fix the thing.
Yeah.
So we fixed the thing that was broken, and the other one was just a game we were both enjoying quite a lot. We want to go back to it and visit it at a later date and show it off a bit more.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure what the podcast will be a good time for that.
Yeah. I'm going to say goodbye, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks' time, as usual. Are you going to say goodbye, Jax?